The rainforest floor, a verdant underworld carpeted with moss and fallen leaves, where roots coil like slumbering snakes and the ground trembles with 1,000 tiny lives.
But I hate to burst your bubble, but this is not a natural woodland. It's a forest. It was made by people. It's got people bits in it, probably literally, because we're just outside Leeds, next to a car park.
Rainforests. When you picture them, what first comes to mind? If you're an Egypt like me, your mind probably jumps to an image of jungles, with howler monkeys are howling, cougars are prowling, and ancient temples are, well, just sitting there. It probably isn't what most people think about when they picture the British Isles. And while the UK isn't shy of cougars, it isn't a sweltering rainforest. Or is it? Well, if you've spent any stretch of time in England during a heatwave, you'll know just how wet and wild it can actually get. Parts of northwest England and much of Wales and Scotland are actually a veritable wilderness, and home to a very rare type of woodland known as temperate rainforests. But while this verdant paradise thrives in pockets, it is thought that rainforests once spanned across as much as 1/5 or a quarter of Britain's landmass. At some point, people ventured into this tangled moor and began to settle. So let's discuss why. Where did it all go so wrong? And who was responsible? Spoiler alert, knowing me, it was the prehistoric people. Let's discuss. Temperate rainforests are incredibly rare and thought to cover less than 1% of the Earth's surface. Just think about that. Dreary old England is home to a super rare habitat. Who'd have known? Well, you may know it, just by a different name. Depending where you're from, these forests may be known as Celtic rainforests, Atlantic rainforests, Atlantic woodlands, and Western oak woods. By UK standards, temperate rainforests allow just an insane range of rare plants and animals to thrive, including ancient oak trees, lichens, red squirrels, and fish. These diverse habitats were once far more widespread in Britain, and now only survive in small pockets where they face numerous threats. Such threats include overgrazing, suffocating invasive species like rhododendrons, and climate change. The temperate part of these rainforests is absolutely key because they require a mild climate with low annual temperature variation to survive. In terms of the British Isles, that basically means constant rain, keeping things wet and mild constantly. Other than all the rain, these forests are best recognised for their dense multi-layered plants, or as WC21 recently put it,
plants growing on plants.
In these places, rocks and tree roots are thickly plastered with moss, lichens and ferns. When it's drizzling, there is an omnipresent smell of decaying leaves, and the overwhelming sense that someone or something is watching you. Yes, in all my time filming for this video, I was both overcome with a sense of wonder, but also quite scared. There is this clawing claustrophobia to these places where nature appears to be devouring itself alive, and while it certainly has a romantic beauty to it, it's not somewhere where humans were meant to live. Hello everybody, you meet me out drinking Orangina on an absolutely sweltering day here in the Lake District National Park. There's a great quote by my favourite film director, Werner Herzog, where he stood in a jungle in the Amazon rainforest, and he says something along the lines of, "The birds here don't necessarily sing, they scream in pain. The jungle, or the rainforest in this situation, is not a place of harmony and beauty, but a place of lust, choking, death and decay." When you see things like this, it's a sort of swelteringly sticky place that isn't necessarily a great thing to live in, which is precisely why people, all those years ago, chopped them down. To answer the obvious, the rainforests were settled after they were burnt down and chopped up. When farming was first introduced, much of Britain was a mosaic of grasslands, scrub and scattered trees, maintained by wild roaming herbivores. Of course, it would follow that these more open habitable areas were the first to be settled. However, archaeological evidence has shown there to have been just a flurry of movement throughout the British Isles once agriculture arrived, spreading quickly northwest from their original landing point in Kent. Stone Age farmers burnt their way across every inch of Britain, repeatedly moving and burning to retain fertile soils. But, of course, this may not have been the case for the rainforests, as their sodden, damp interiors would not so easily have allowed for large-scale burning. Instead, it would seem that people did smaller, controlled burns and manually chopped up the forests tree by tree. In doing so, northwest England and Cornwall were among the most deforested regions in the British Isles by 3200 BC. Quite importantly, the area was discovered to have been home to one of Britain's most prolific axe industries, where the tools for deforestation were created, a place called Great Langdale. The same is also true of other rainforested areas, such as North Wales, where the Graiglwyd axe quarry was operated. I'm sorry Welsh people, I can't pronounce your words. Sorry. Both of these Neolithic quarries were situated high up in the mountains, which has long puzzled researchers. But an obvious answer may simply be that the lowlands were a choking rainforest and were actually less habitable. In fact, it seems that the uplands were among the first places where rainforests were removed. Where we now see those dense bracken blankets up on the sides of hills, it's thought that that's where most of England's rainforests once sat. It was in these uplands that the earliest and most intensive transformations of the rainforest took place. The clearance was no small undertaking, felling vast hardwood trees by hand, often on steep, waterlogged slopes, demanded just a massive collective labour force. The high demand for stone axes from sites like Great Langdale and elsewhere reflects not only their value as functional tools, but their role in enabling a steady push into what had once been impenetrable terrain. Once felled and burned in patches, these upland rainforests gave way to rough pasture and cultivation plots, beginning a cycle of clearance, farming and soil depletion that would permanently alter the ecology of the British Isles. By 3000 BC, much of the upland fringes of northwest England, North Wales, Scotland and Cornwall had shifted from dense, moisture-laden woodlands to heath, pasture and regrowth scrub. The archaeological record, with its charcoal layers, pollen shifts and scars of quarrying, captures this important moment when human activity began to actually outpace natural regeneration. In essence, these uplands may have been the first frontiers of Britain's agricultural expansion, where the landscape we recognise today first began to take shape. What survives of Britain's temperate rainforests today are scraps of a once vast habitat that are now just tucked into steep corners of the West. They survive in places too awkward for the ploughs, where their mossy boulders and dripping canopies still shelter rare life. These last pockets are valuable, beautiful and, most of all, native. Overgrazing, invasive plants and climate change threaten to finish what millennia of clearance began. Protecting them now is less about nostalgia and romanticism than it is about safeguarding one of the rarest habitats on Earth. A living, native fragment of history, where the story of human impact and the possibility of restoration stand side by side. I've been Adam Morgan Ibbotson, and if you enjoyed this video, please do slap that like button. This is probably a good excuse to plug my book as well, Cumbria's Prehistoric Monuments. It has a second edition out, and it's based in the area where the rainforests once stood, and there's loads of prehistoric monuments there evidencing that they were chopping these rainforests down. Very interesting.